Power. Throughout human history, this invisible force has shaped civilizations, toppled empires, and defined the course of human events. In his seminal work, The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene distills centuries of strategic wisdom into timeless principles that govern influence and control. These laws, extracted from the chronicles of history's most formidable figures, illuminate the subtle mechanics of authority that operate in every sphere of human interaction. As we embark on this comprehensive exploration, we shall uncover not only the strategies for wielding power effectively, but also the ethical responsibilities that accompany it. To truly grasp the intricate dance of power, we must first understand its foundational principles. These are not mere tactics, but bedrock truths that have resonated through the corridors of history, shaping empires and influencing destinies. Our journey begins with Law Number 1. Never outshine the master. It is a lesson etched in the annals of courts and kingdoms, the peril of overshadowing those above you. Consider Nicolas Fouquet, superintendent of finances under Louis XIV. Seeking to impress the Sun King, Fouquet hosted a magnificent celebration at his newly built chateau. The opulence displayed inadvertently triggered suspicion in the monarch, who interpreted this grandeur as a challenge to his supremacy. The result? Fouquet's swift arrest and lifelong imprisonment. The lesson resonates through time. Ensure your masters always feel superior, while your own brilliance operates with strategic humility. Law Number 2. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. Acknowledges that friendship, while cherished in personal life, can be precarious in power dynamics. Emotions cloud judgment, while enemies present clarity in their opposition. Abraham Lincoln exemplified this principle during the Civil War, appointing former political rivals to his cabinet. This team of rivals neutralized potential opposition while harnessing their considerable talents. Enemies, transformed into allies, often display fierce loyalty born from their need to prove themselves. Law Number 3. Conceal your intentions. Recognizes that transparency can be a vulnerability. By shrouding your goals in ambiguity, you maintain advantage, keeping others perpetually guessing. Cardinal Richelieu thrived on this principle in the treacherous landscape of 17th century French politics. His mastery of concealment ensured his rivals were constantly struggling to decipher his next move, securing his political longevity and influence. Remember, information is currency. Control its flow, and you control the game. Law Number 4. Always say less than necessary. Acknowledges that words, once spoken, become irretrievable. The more you speak, the greater the risk of revealing vulnerabilities. Silence projects confidence and inscrutability, forcing others to fill the void with speculation. As Lao Tzu wisely noted, "He who does not speak is wiser than he who speaks 1,000 words." In conversations, cultivate restraint. Allow others to dominate discourse, while you remain composed and guarded. Your silence will be perceived not as emptiness, but as strength, commanding respect and curiosity. Law Number 5. So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. Emphasizes that reputation is the invisible armor that precedes you, shaping perceptions before you enter a room. Julius Caesar meticulously cultivated his persona of benevolence and military prowess, garnering immense loyalty. Conversely, Marie Antoinette's reputation, destroyed by rumor and innuendo, accelerated her downfall. Protect your name with unwavering vigilance. Be proactive in shaping your narrative and relentless in defending it against those who seek to undermine you. For in the realm of power, your reputation is, quite literally, your lifeline. Having established the bedrock principles of power, we now turn our attention to the strategic maneuvers that propel individuals to positions of influence. These laws of elevation transform ambition into reality. Law Number 6. Court attention at all costs. Recognizes that in a world saturated with stimuli, obscurity is akin to invisibility. Visibility is the oxygen of influence. P.T. Barnum, the 19th century showman, understood this implicitly. He didn't merely sell circuses, he sold sensationalism. His spectacles, from the Fiji Mermaid to General Tom Thumb, captivated the masses, ensuring his enterprises remained perpetually in the spotlight. Even controversy served his arsenal of attention-grabbing techniques. As he famously proclaimed, "There's no such thing as bad publicity." In the competition for power, it is often better to be slandered than ignored. Law Number 7. Get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. Acknowledges that effective leadership hinges on delegation and strategic appropriation. Thomas Edison exemplifies this principle. While providing overarching vision for his Menlo Park laboratory, much of the detailed experimentation was executed by his team. Yet publicly, Edison positioned himself as the singular genius behind these innovations. This strategy, while ethically complex by modern standards, demonstrates how delegation coupled with credit claiming can exponentially amplify achievements. This is not mere exploitation, but strategic multiplication of effort. Law number 8. Make other people come to use bait. If necessary, emphasizes that control means dictating the terms of engagement. Position yourself as the focal point, drawing others into your orbit, rather than exhausting energy pursuing them. During the Cold War, superpowers employed this principle masterfully. Both the United States and Soviet Union offered bait economic aid, military alliances, technological assistance to lure nations into their spheres of influence. By becoming the desired partner, they dictated international dynamics, compelling smaller nations to align with their agendas. To master power, be the destination, not the pursuer. Law number 9. Win through your actions. Never through argument recognizes that words are inherently ambiguous, while actions possess undeniable clarity. Galileo Galilei understood this when promoting the heliocentric model. Rather than endless philosophical debates against entrenched doctrine, he invited skeptics to look through his telescope. The evidence of their own eyes proved far more persuasive than any torrent of words. Let your achievements speak volumes, rendering arguments superfluous. Law number 10. Infection. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky acknowledges that both positive and negative energy are remarkably contagious. Surrounding yourself with the perpetually negative is to risk being drawn into their vortex of despair. Throughout history, leaders influenced by pessimistic advisors have made disastrous decisions. Conversely, optimistic, proactive individuals create cycles of success. Your associations are not merely social choices, but strategic investments in your ascent. Law number 11. Learn to keep people dependent on you shows that sustained power requires cultivating indispensability. Become the linchpin upon whom others rely. Machiavelli advised rulers to ensure their subjects needed them for security and prosperity. Similarly, individuals with specialized expertise become crucial to organizations. Cultivate a niche, master unique skills, and your value and power will soar. With foundations laid and strategies for ascent understood, we now delve into the nuanced realm of subtle influence. These laws unveil the delicate arts of persuasion and calculated manipulation that whispers in power's corridors that can shift destinies. Law number 12. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. Recognizes that suspicion serves as a natural defense against manipulation. To penetrate this armor, deploy honesty and generosity strategically. A carefully timed act of kindness can dramatically lower defenses. During the Cold War, double agents mastered this principle, providing genuine intelligence to build credibility before introducing misinformation. These acts of selective honesty served as potent currency, creating a false sense of security in their targets. This sophisticated tool earns trust not for its own sake, but as a calculated prelude to influence. Law number 13. When asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest, never to their mercy or gratitude, acknowledges that self-interest drives human nature more powerfully than altruism. While appeals to pity may occasionally succeed, they form fragile foundations for influence. Queen Elizabeth I understood this principle implicitly. When securing resources from her subjects, she rarely appealed to sentimental attachment to the crown. Instead, she framed requests in terms of national prosperity and shared advantage, aligning her needs with their self-interest. As we deepen our exploration of power, we arrive at a critical domain, the mastery of emotional control. These principles harness human psychology to navigate and manipulate the pathways to influence. Law number 17. Keep others in suspended terror. Cultivate an air of unpredictability. Acknowledges that predictability becomes a vulnerability. By cultivating inconsistency, you inject controlled chaos into interactions, keeping opponents perpetually guessing your next move. Winston Churchill exemplified this during World War II, with bold, unorthodox strategies that surprised both allies and adversaries. His unpredictability became a strategic asset that disrupted enemy plans and contributed to Allied victory. This is not random impulsiveness, but calculated strategy to maintain initiative and control the psychological landscape. Law number 18. Do not build fortresses to protect your self-isolation is dangerous. Warns against the natural inclination to retreat from uncertainty. In power dynamics, isolation becomes a self-imposed prison, cutting off vital flows of information and support. Tsar Nicholas II tragically demonstrated this principle's validity. Increasingly detached within his palaces and surrounded by a small circle of advisors, he remained blind to the revolutionary fervor consuming his nation. This self-imposed isolation contributed directly to his downfall. Engage with the world, cultivate relationships, and resist the seductive but ultimately fatal allure of seclusion. Law number 19. Know who you're dealing with. Do not offend the wrong person. Emphasizes that power dynamics comprise a complex tapestry of individual personalities and motivations. Misjudging an adversary can trigger devastating consequences. In literature, Don Quixote's misadventures serve as a cautionary tale of misperception tilting. At windmills he perceives as giants, and offending individuals he mistakes for villains. In real-world power dynamics, understanding personality nuances, anticipating reactions, and exercising empathy are essential. Caution and insight must guide you. Misjudgment can prove your undoing. Law number 20. Do not commit to anyone. Recognizes that flexibility is paramount in power's fluid currents. Binding yourself rigidly to alliances limits options and sacrifices maneuverability. Queen Elizabeth I mastered this principle, skillfully balancing competing interests while avoiding binding commitments that might compromise England's autonomy. She entertained marriage proposals and diplomatic negotiations with various factions, but consistently refrained from fully committing to any single alliance. This strategic neutrality allowed England to maintain independence and navigate 16th century European politics with remarkable agility. Law number 21. Play a sucker to catch a sucker seem dumber than your mark. Exploits the human ego's tendency toward overconfidence. By strategically feigning ignorance, you encourage others to lower their guard and reveal valuable information. Mark Twain employed this persona of the naive observer in his writings. Through seemingly simple narratives, he subtly exposed the arrogance of the powerful and pretentious. His literary strategy reflects profound psychological understanding. Arrogance breeds carelessness, and those who underestimate others often become victims of their own hubris. In power pursuits, feign simplicity and use others' lowered expectations to your advantage. Having navigated individual psychology, we now turn to the broader theater of social dynamics. These strategic principles reveal how to master social environments and leverage them for personal advancement. Law number 22. Use the surrender tactic. Transform weakness into power reveals that true strength sometimes lies in calculated yielding. This strategic retreat disarms opponents and transforms perceived weakness into influence. Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy of satyagraha exemplifies this principle masterfully. Facing the British Empire's might, Gandhi championed non-violent resistance rather than armed rebellion. This deliberate embrace of vulnerability became his greatest strength, exposing the oppressor's brutality, garnering international sympathy, and ultimately securing India's independence. True power often resides in the unexpected strength of strategic yielding. Law number 23. Concentrate your forces teaches that dispersed efforts yield minimal impact. Alexander the Great understood this intuitively. Rather than spreading troops thinly, he focused his elite forces at critical points in enemy lines. This concentrated strike, like a hammer blow, shattered enemy formations and led to decisive victories. Alexander's triumphs came not from superior numbers, but from masterful application of concentrated force at decisive moments. In all endeavors, focus your energies where they will have greatest impact. Law number 24. Play the perfect courtier acknowledges that power often resides within intricate social networks. Navigating these environments requires mastering diplomacy, etiquette, and discretion. Baldassare Castiglione's The Book of the Courtier outlined these ideal attributes: grace, wit, and the ability to seamlessly integrate into court's social fabric. The perfect courtier influences through nuanced social maneuvering, cultivating relationships, and mastering the unspoken language of gesture and implication. In modern workplaces and political circles, these principles remain remarkably relevant. Master social grace to unlock pathways invisible to the unrefined. Law number 25. Recreate. Yourself emphasizes that identity is a malleable construct that must evolve with changing circumstances. Madonna exemplifies this principle, consistently reinventing her image, musical style, and persona across decades, adapting to evolving cultural landscapes while maintaining her position at popular culture's forefront. This relentless self-reinvention represents a calculated strategy for sustained relevance. Own your narrative, control your image, and embrace transformation to navigate power's changing currents. Law number 26. Keep your hands clean advises that while unsavory tasks may be unavoidable in power pursuits, directly engaging in them risks tarnishing your reputation. Throughout history, monarchs have relied on trusted advisors to execute controversial policies. From Cardinal Richelieu acting for Louis XIII to modern political aides managing scandals, the principle remains: distance yourself from morally questionable aspects of power through delegation, protect your reputation, cultivate integrity, and ensure that power's necessary ruthlessness doesn't stain your public persona. Law number 27. Play on people's need to believe to create a cult-like following. Recognizes humans' inherent craving for meaning and belonging. Steve Jobs mastered this principle, selling not just computers, but a vision centered around innovation and technological transformation. He cultivated near-religious fervor among Apple employees and customers, inspiring brand loyalty bordering on devotion. By articulating a compelling narrative and embodying the ideals he espoused, Jobs created a devoted following that propelled Apple to unprecedented success. Harness shared belief and collective purpose to unlock exponential influence. Having explored social dynamics, we venture into the more nuanced territory of deception and manipulation. These advanced strategies are designed to control perceptions and shape narratives operating in the shadows to alter the course of events. Law number 28. Enter action with boldness recognizes that hesitation and timidity undermine decisive action. Boldness unsettles opponents, inspires allies, and creates self-fulfilling prophecies of success. When Hernán Cortés landed in Mexico in 1519, facing the vast Aztec Empire with a small Spanish force, he ordered his ships scuttled an irreversible commitment that galvanized his troops and signaled unwavering resolve to the Aztecs. This calculated projection of confidence became a key factor in his improbable conquest. Boldness is not recklessness, but strategic confidence that overcomes obstacles. Law number 29. Plan all the way to the end. Emphasizes that power requires calculated steps executed with an eye toward ultimate objectives. Hannibal's campaigns against Rome exemplify this principle. His Alps crossing and victories at Cannae and Lake Trasimene resulted from years of careful preparation. Hannibal envisioned entire campaigns, anticipating Roman responses and securing supply lines. While ultimately defeated, his strategies demonstrate the power of planning comprehensively. Law number 30. Make your accomplishments seem effortless. Acknowledges that visible strain betrays vulnerability. Grace and apparent ease enhance allure and inspire admiration. Fred Astaire captivated audiences with seemingly effortless dance performances that masked countless hours of rigorous rehearsal. This illusion of effortlessness was central to his enduring appeal. In any endeavor, conceal toil and project grace to elevate your stature in others' eyes. Effortless accomplishment signals true power. Law number 31. Control the options. Get others to play with the cards you deal. Involves controlling the playing field by limiting others' choices. In diplomatic negotiations, skilled negotiators strategically limit the possibilities presented to counterparts, carefully curating options that ultimately serve their position. This makes counterparts feel they're making free choices while actually playing within predetermined parameters. Law number 32. Play to people's fantasies. Recognizes humanity's inherent yearning for enchantment. Luxury brands masterfully employ this principle, selling not merely products but lifestyles and aspirations. A luxury car advertisement rarely focuses on practical features, instead evoking images of wealth, sophistication, and freedom. Popular entertainment similarly offers escapism that resonates with fantasies and desires. To gain influence, tap into the power of fantasy and position yourself as the gateway to aspirations. Law number 33. Discover each man's thumbscrew acknowledges that everyone possesses vulnerabilities and deeply held motivations. Skilled negotiators prioritize identifying these pressure points through observation, listening, and empathy. Once discovered, these can be leveraged to guide negotiations, elicit concessions, and achieve favorable outcomes. Law number 34. Be royal in your own fashion. Act like a king to be treated like one shows how self-perception shapes external perception. Coco Chanel exemplifies this principle, having risen from humble circumstances to revolutionize fashion through unwavering self-belief and aristocratic bearing. Her projected royal persona commanded respect, attracted influential clientele, and transformed her into a fashion icon. Cultivate self-respect, project confidence, and act with dignity in your domain. External perception reflects internal conviction. Self-assuredness magnetizes respect and influence. As we approach the culmination of our exploration, we unveil the ultimate strategies, the long-term perspectives that define enduring influence and lasting legacy. Law number 35. Master the Art of Timing recognizes that time ultimately arbitrates success and failure. Warren Buffett exemplifies this principle through his investment philosophy of being greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy. His strategy hinges on patience waiting for undervalued opportunities and market conditions that align with intrinsic value. Mastering timing isn't about speed, but strategic patience, waiting for the precise moment when action yields maximum impact. Law number 36. Disdain things you cannot have. Ignoring them is the best revenge, warns that fixating on the unattainable invites frustration and dissipates power. Michelangelo exemplified his strategic indifference to distractions. Despite rivalries, papal interference, and public scrutiny, he remained focused on his artistic vision, producing masterpieces that have resonated through centuries. Cultivate strategic indifference toward unattainable desires and provocations, focusing energy on what you can control. Law number 37. Create compelling spectacles. Acknowledges our visual orientation and susceptibility to drama and grandeur. Throughout history, from Roman triumphal processions to modern political rallies, carefully orchestrated spectacles have consolidated and projected power. These events communicate messages of legitimacy and identity, while bypassing rational scrutiny to impact the collective psyche. Master the art of crafting compelling displays that capture attention and reinforce your narrative. Visual dominance often equates to perceived power. Law number 38. Think as you like but behave like others highlights the danger of overt nonconformity. Galileo demonstrated this principle when forced to publicly recant his heliocentric model, while reportedly muttering, "Et pour si muove," and yet it moves. His strategic conformity allowed him to survive and continue his scientific pursuits with greater discretion. Navigate the balance between inner conviction and outward conformity, preserving autonomy while minimizing unnecessary conflict. Law number 39. Stir up waters to catch fish reveals how strategic disruption can create opportunities and expose vulnerabilities. Machiavelli observed that periods of turmoil present unique opportunities for ambitious leaders. By exploiting tensions or instigating controlled chaos, shrewd players can unsettle established orders, weaken rivals, and create openings for their ascent. This isn't about reckless anarchy, but calculated disruption to achieve strategic objectives. Master the art of strategic agitation to reveal opportunities dormant in placid stability. Law number 40. Despise the free lunch cautions that seemingly generous offers often conceal hidden obligations or traps. True independence is rooted in self-sufficiency, rather than reliance on others' benevolence. Value transparency, demand clarity, and approach unconditional generosity with healthy skepticism. In power's long game, the free lunch often proves the most expensive meal. Law number 41. Avoid stepping into a great man's shoes, warns about the burden of succeeding towering figures. John Adams struggled in George Washington's shadow despite his considerable merits. To avoid unfavorable comparisons, differentiate yourself, emphasize unique strengths, and forge a distinct path. Create your own legacy rather than trying to fill a predecessor's shoes. Law number 42. Strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter, recognizes that power often concentrates in central figures. In military strategy, targeting enemy leadership can cripple coordination and resistance. Similarly, law enforcement focuses on apprehending ringleaders to collapse criminal networks. In any hierarchical system, identifying and neutralizing the pivotal control point can trigger swift, system-wide disruption. Law number 43. Work on the hearts and minds of others emphasizes that lasting influence requires genuine connection. Nelson Mandela demonstrated this after decades of imprisonment, emerging to champion reconciliation rather than retribution. By appealing to shared humanity and building bridges of trust, Mandela achieved peaceful transition in post-apartheid South Africa. True power isn't merely control, but connection. Working on hearts and minds builds enduring influence stronger than coercion. Our journey through the 48 laws of power concludes, leaving us to contemplate their profound implications. These principles, distilled from centuries of human experience, offer strategic insights into the nature of influence and authority, yet power without conscience leads to tyranny. As we integrate these lessons into our lives, we must balance tactical advantage with ethical responsibility. The truly powerful leave legacies not of fear, but of positive impact. May this knowledge guide you to wield influence with wisdom, building success that honors both your ambitions and your humanity.